Thank you, Jane. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for Ian's very detailed industrial analysis. I'm going to be more philosophical here. From my own background, like my dress, you can tell I'm a very conservative investor from Wall Street. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I started my career and spent more than 25 years in the industry. But now I'm actually drifting away from there. I believe that the whole world is controlled by the financial sector. However, the financial sector somehow is manipulating the economy. And somehow technology, as I mentioned here, blockchain as the cutting edge technology is not only a technology innovation, but also a social revolution. And it would enable equal access to financial services, allow extensive sharing of capital, and further disrupt the conventional relationship of production. And let's go back to what's going on here in the world. We know that the economy is mostly financially related. And all the financial transactions has to be done upon trust. And somehow trust is very expensive in the past. And multi-layers of intermediaries are always taking a lot of profits, a lot of money away from the production system. And barriers are very high. It's not accessible for everyone. And somehow for many people who possibly never had any financial service at all. The GDP by country, from small one to big one, and come to GDP by industry, you will see that the financial sector has always been one of the largest industry in every single country. The largest one, US, financial sector is 19%, much larger than we call the so-called big government. The big government is only 13%, and somehow about 50% below the financial sector. And in a medium country, like South Africa, and you can tell the financial sector is still the largest one in the economy. And somehow the profit is always from the capital. Whoever controls the capital, real estate, of course, the most profitable one because they always have the largest amount of capital invested here. And also, of course, the financial sector itself, finance and insurance. That's the second most profitable industry. And barriers to the financial services are very high. Yes, they're making a lot of money, but they are very selective. The financial industry somehow does not allow equal access for every single person on the earth. A lot of people on the earth still has low or very limited financial access there at all. For example, we can tell that in Central Asia, the 49% of people that have very limited financial access. And here in Sub-Saharan Africa, you can tell that 80%. Yes, Liang brought us some good news that mobile banking is thriving there. However, we still have a large amount of population have very limited financial access. And somehow, this is not fair for the world. And of course, blockchain comes into being. We all understand that the blockchain, of course, the killer app is Bitcoin. However, the real mechanism of blockchain is the trust machine. And somehow, blockchain automated the whole trust process. The whole financial service can be allowed more easier to be accessed. And somehow, digital currency, especially, and all those digital currencies are automating the banking service now. With a mobile phone, you have your wallet, and you can download that, and you can use it as a payment, as a cross-border transaction system. And of course, the coin system underneath, Ripple, JPM coin, and Libra, and so on. And a lot of CBDC, central bank digital currencies are also in development process as well. The trust machine enables the whole process, of course. In the old days, if you have your money or you want to pay somebody else, you have to write a check from a bank. The bank has to verify it, and then of course, paid talk with the counterparty's bank and the transaction done through the banks and then forward to the payee somehow. It's a long process. But in the future, well, it's not in future, nowadays, we simply use our wallet. It's peer-to-peer, very simple process. And that's authenticated, disintermediary, no more banks there. And that's why all the banks are jumping into the blockchain industry. A lot of corporate blockchains, JPM coins, they are trying to catch up with the trend. The low, they are going to be somehow in trouble. And fully traceable, somehow, and also, of course, encrypted. That's the beauty of the blockchain. And in a way, the banking system is under a major threat from the blockchain. Of course, 3 years ago, you can say, Jamie Dimon said that, hey, Bitcoin is a fraud. And 2 years ago, he said, I regret saying that. And last year, he said, now, hey, we have our JPM coin. It's a joke, but that's a process. They have to accept the fact. Technology is there to bring disruption to Wall Street. And on the other side, you can say that the technology firms, Libra, it's a big startup for all the central banks last year. And China started their CDBC, it's called the digital currency, DCEP, and somehow due to the virus issue, somehow they delayed the process, but it's already in the experimental payment system in 3 cities, from Shanghai to Shenzhen and to Hangzhou. And we will see a lot more. The big corporations, Walmart, they are doing their own token as well. Not only the banking system, but also the capital market. Capital market somehow is controlled by the rich and the intermediaries as well. Now, possibly everybody knows that the story from, written by Thomas Piketty. The whole world is split in 2 parts. People are making money from their labor, from their service, and people are making money from their capital. The 2 different trends are completely, totally different. The top 1% in the US, their growth of the income every year is higher and higher. On the other side, 50% of the population, the average people, their average wage growth is lower and lower. And this is even worse. You can look at this chart. And somehow, this is from Thomas Piketty's book. That's 21st century, Capitalism of 21st Century. And here, we see the productivity is right in the middle. However, the average household income is much lower than the growth of the productivity. Where the money goes? Of course, the rich guys, whoever control the capital, including the Wall Street professionals. And of course, the center of this whole capital market is a black box. It's called exchange. I like to tell you the story that I personally experienced 25 years ago. At that time, SEC started to revise rules to allow ECN to be incorporated into exchange system. ECN stands for Electronic Communication Network, which means the tech firm can use their own routing system to access the exchange. At the beginning, actually, late 80s, the exchange already had their own electronic system called SuperDot and DOT. And in mid of 90s, you say Island and you also say ARCA. On the left, on that side, on the left side, you say New York Stock Exchange. That's the old black box, built in 1792. And from there on, they started control of the whole capital market. They decide who can invest and who can come to the investment market to raise money and who can become richer. And that's their role. And they somehow use the membership system to allow very limited amount of people, even amongst the financial professionals, very few. And on this side, you say ARCA. Archipelago is a tech firm founded in 1996. And somehow they use their own ECN to access the whole stock market, and they become automated trading system, open and also connected to almost every single trader on the street, and they become one of the largest trading platforms. From there on, yes, this is a very encouraging story for everyone here. For all the entrepreneurs, that's your dream. In '96, they started their business. And '98, they already become very profitable. And year 2000, somehow they are gradually taking over part of Pacific Stock Exchange, the largest one on the West Coast. And 2005, end of 2005, they took over. They actually had a merger with NYSE. Nowadays, you go to SEC's website, NYSE is no longer called NYSE Exchange. It's called NYSE ARCA Exchange. ARCA name is there. That's one small startup back in '96. They used the technology. The second generation, well, combining with the first generation internet technology, the computer technology there. And somehow they made their way out to buy, to merge with NYSE and relevated NYSE into an automated exchange. No more black box, open, automated, and also totally in cyber cloud. And so the exchange floor is mostly for a show instead of the real trading. And that's the story of the two exchanges, the old one and the youngest one. And of course, technology never stopped there. And nowadays, you know the Bucket, BAKKT, and that's kind of like a baby child of the blockchain baby of NYSE. And it's ICE, the parent company, Chairman Jeffrey Pritchard, and his wife, Katie Loeffler's baby. And somehow they became one of the largest Bitcoin future trading platform. And you see that we also have many other people jumping. NASDAQ was founded in 1971 with internet technology. And they tried to disintermediate all they tried to cut through all the brokers, bankers, and market makers. And now they are really making their way into blockchain as well. Eraser exchange as well. And in the future, we believe that everything can be tokenized. With AI, IoT, and many other technologies, the world will be a wallet-based, peer-to-peer transactions economy. And capital market will be much simpler, much more direct. And somehow, we believe that a better financial world for everyone with everybody access to financial service and every innovation with access to market, that will happen. And tokenization will be done for sure. We have over 80 trillion, let's see, we have 80 trillion capital market total stock market value and 230 trillion debt and plus 250 trillion real estate, and of course 500 trillion derivatives. All those can be tokenized, and this is a part of the insert from T0, which is one of our portfolio company as well. And of course, here the commodities can also be tokenized, and we have all the commodities there to be tokenized as well. Of course, all the other assets, as I mentioned here, up to 80 trillion equity market, and 215 bond market, and 217 real estate market. And that's the detail of the tokenization. Very simple. End of the day, we'll have a wallet-to-wallet transaction on everything. Not only the banking transaction, but also the capital market transaction. On one side of the wallet will be the AI to do the recommendation for you, which asset you should pick up to increase your liquidity or take more risk to get a higher return. On the other side, you may also want to sell your assets there as well, and to maximize your profit and to gain the liquidity for your company. The Industrial Revolution therefore had to wait for the financial revolution before it could occur. Dr. Hicks said this. And we believe that the revolution is happening, and everyone here, you are part of this. Let's do it. Thank you.